The Damage Assessment and Reporting course is one of the workshops in Emergency Management, or WEM's, series of topics recommended for the Basic Emergency Managers Training Certification. This course curriculum was developed by Waldo County Emergency Management Agency for the Municipal Emergency Management Directors in Waldo County. The purpose of this course is the education of local emergency managers in how to best assess and report any public or private damages that result from a major storm or other hazard. Waldo County can experience damages to roadways, public utilities, government property, or private property. Damages may be caused by severe summer or winter storms, wildfires, hazardous material releases, or hostile attacks. This course in damage assessment and reporting will cover the following topics: the definition of damage assessment and how it relates to your community, the 4 phases of damage assessment in Waldo County, the documentation that is required by the state of Maine to build situational awareness to decide whether to declare a state of emergency or not, and to decide whether to request a presidential disaster declaration from the federal government. And finally, the course will identify a few actions that are required to prepare for the arrival of FEMA when they arrive to complete a Stafford Act preliminary damage assessment. So, what is damage assessment? Following a disaster event such as flooding, wildfire, or a severe rain or wind event, important infrastructure in your community might have been damaged. This could include public buildings, roads and bridges, docks and breakwaters, dams, water supply systems, or sewer systems. It may also include damage to private property, such as homes, farms, or businesses. To be effective, the municipality should form a damage assessment team that will collect information on what is damaged in their community. Members of the damage assessment team should travel around the community to find and record anything that was damaged. This information will be collected by the Municipal Emergency Operations Center, or EOC. The first priority, after life-saving efforts have concluded, is to simply identify what is damaged, the location, and simple description of the level of damage or what is impacted. Examples would be identifying a section of road that has washed out, the street address or map coordinates of the damage, and that the road is now closed to all traffic. Later damage assessments should be performed by whoever is responsible for the repairs. This phase will require developing cost estimates of the repairs. There are 4 basic principles of damage assessment. Phase 1 will typically happen before damage assessment teams are deployed. Phase 2 is when the damage assessment team is deployed to collect information and report it back to the EOC. Phase 3 is damage cost estimating. This will involve whoever will be responsible for the damage repairs. For roads and bridges, this will be the road commissioner or public works director. Phase 4 is the preliminary damage assessment. This will occur when representatives from the state EMA office and FEMA arrive to assess the damage for potential federal and state assistance. Someone from the municipality will need to guide the PDA team to the damaged locations and describe what happened. The first phase of damage assessment is collection and processing of initial information. This information may be reported to the municipal officials by residents by phone, email, social media, or in person. Be aware that this information will need to be verified. Sometimes people reporting are not sure of their exact location or spent the time to truly assess the level of damage. They will probably not know the difference between a power line, telephone line, or cable line. The municipal officials may also receive reports from first responders who came upon the damage or were initially dispatched. The County Dispatch Center, or EOC, may also have information on the damages. As this initial information comes into the municipal EOC, it should be recorded in a log of events, plotted on a map, and posted into D4H Incident Management. Updates to the assessment should be made or posted as new information comes in. The municipal EOC should recall or form a damage assessment team to deploy into the field to collect precise and detailed information on what actually occurred in the community. The purpose is to find everything that was broken. Before deploying the damage assessment team, Identify the primary locations or routes for the assessment. Each set of team members should be given a specific route so the EOC staff will know approximately where they are. This is important for accountability. The damage assessment team should travel in groups of at least 2 personnel. Safety is a concern, and everyone needs to have a buddy. If possible, have communications for the deployed personnel so they can keep in touch with the EOC. This will allow the team members to report their findings quicker and to keep the EOC updated on their location and status. As the assessment reports come into the EOC staff should plot and record the information on hard copy maps, whiteboards, and D4H incident management. As the damage assessment team members travel along their assigned routes, they'll be on the lookout for damages to the following infrastructure and property: roads, culverts, bridges or washed out damage, tree and power line debris, blocking the roads or endangering the traveling public, pollution and other hazardous materials being released onto the ground, into the waters, or into the air. They must also report if people are contaminated or in any danger by the actual or potential release of these hazardous materials. Locations of any out-of-control fires or damaged dams. Locations and descriptions of damaged homes, farms, or businesses. And the locations and descriptions of damaged government buildings or utilities. So, why do we need to complete an initial damage assessment? First of all, you need to know what is broken before you can fix it. Is it endangering the public or first responders? Is it getting worse? If we do nothing, will it get worse? Secondly, you need to have detailed understanding of what has happened so that you can prioritize the response and recovery. An initial report is not an accurate picture of the situation, and limited resources may be prioritized incorrectly. Once you have a better understanding of the issues and your resource limitations, you may want to request help from other municipalities or the county or state. They will want to know the details of the incident to know if they can help and with what resources. This better understanding of what has happened will only come from those you have deployed into the field as a damage assessment team. There are several activities that should be completed by the EOC and the damage assessment team. The EOC staff will start by collecting and recording every piece of information they can, even during the event, keeping safety as their first priority. As mentioned earlier, this initial information may be coming from the public who are witnessing the damages occurring in real time. The damage assessment team personnel should take photos of everything that was damaged, from several angles if possible and if safe. If cell phones are working, this can be emailed or texted to the EOC. The team members shall record and report the location of the damages by street address or map coordinates, a description of what is happening, and if there are any immediate needs. Throughout the day or days, the team should revisit these locations to report any changes. So who makes up the staffing of this damage assessment team, also known as a DAT? Usually the fire department responders get this job by default. However, is that a wise use of your limited emergency resources? The fire department needs to be ready to respond to structural fires, hazardous material releases, and accidents. They will be delayed if the firefighters are scattered around town and blocked by road debris. If your municipality has a public works department, they may be assigned this task, but they might be overwhelmed by road repairs and unable to complete community-wide assessments. The best option would be to recruit and train a volunteer damage assessment team. It can be staffed with residents experienced in construction, code enforcement, building inspections, emergency management, community planning, search and rescue, or just able-bodied people who are well motivated. There are no major expenses involved, such as expensive response gear, vehicle, or personal protection equipment. Costs may involve fuel reimbursements, providing two-way radios, and simple PPE like construction helmets or work gloves. Your volunteer damage assessment team should be equipped with a few items that will allow them to better complete their tasks. This could include a digital camera or their personal smartphone, a handheld GPS receiver or a GPS app on their personal smartphone, papers, pencils, a clipboard, along with blank damage assessment forms. If cell phone service is still up, the volunteers can call in on their cell phones. If service is not up or is not reliable, consider issuing them an inexpensive, very high-frequency two-way radio. These will cost around $140 each. Determine what PPE gear is needed for the job. It might include reflective safety vests, helmets, gloves, boots, and foul weather clothes. The volunteers will probably already have their own boots and clothes for the job. An initial damage assessment team, or DAT, report is a simple blank form that allows your team to collect the necessary information on the correct infrastructure and property. An example of this form is found on the County EMA website. Your DAT form should be printed in multiple hard copies before an incident occurs, in case your computer, printer, or photocopier is not functioning during the emergency event. This report is completed by the DAT personnel in the field at the location of the damages. The information on this report can be called into the EOC by phone or radio. It can also be texted or emailed. It will include the facility or utility name, location, and its current status. The training required to be a member of the Municipal Damage Assessment Team is simple and short. Team members will be trained on how to fill the DAT report forms and any specifics on road closure reporting. They should be given a map of the town roads and become familiar with where all the roads are. They should be trained on how to collect and report grid coordinates, and trained on the type of radio they will be issued. This will take between 30 and 60 minutes. This information should be reviewed every year. Finally, before they deploy, they should be given a safety briefing on the possible hazards they may encounter in the field and how to protect themselves from them. Phase 3 of the damage assessment process will involve the collection and development of a detailed cost estimate for the repair of infrastructure and property damages. Both the insurance companies and the federal government will need this information before they can provide reimbursement. You will also need a cost estimate before writing contracts to go to bid. The cost estimate phase will begin a few hours or days after the disaster event occurred. This is usually accomplished by the road commissioner, public works director, code enforcement office, in-house or contracted engineer, town administrator, and/or elected officials. During the cost estimate phase, it is vitally important to accurately record the location of the damage. This may be a long stretch of road, in which case you would identify the location of both ends of the damaged road. Take notes on the damage level and specifics. Most importantly, take many photos from every angle of the damage before making any repairs. The state and federal government may not show up for days, weeks, or months after the repairs were made. They will not see the damages and will want verification that the damage was indeed there. Your cost estimate will include all the materials and labor that were needed to make these repairs. Use either FEMA equipment rates, MDOT unit pricing, or well-established municipal unit pricing in your damage assessment. The federal government has a stringent regulation on how repair work can be accomplished and what can be reimbursed. This class will not go into details in the repair process. There are two stages in the preliminary damage assessment or PDA process. There is a state process and a federal process. The first stage involves the state process of determining if there is enough damages to meet a certain level of cost threshold to request federal disaster declaration. This will involve the completion of the State of Maine preliminary damage assessment forms that record the repair cost estimates for public damages and the level of damages to private property. These forms are not used by the federal government. Instead, the information on these forms are used by the state EMA office to determine if the federal government will be asked to get involved. There are two state PDA forms, one for public damages and one for private property damages. Public damages fall under the Federal Public Assistance or PA program. Private damages fall under the Federal Individual Assistance Program or IA program. These forms should be completed within a few days of the disaster or event occurring. The municipality or an associated quasi-municipal entity, such as water district or school district, will provide this information on the PA form. Have the private property owner complete the IA form and provide it to the town office or EOC. The public assistance or PA form will record the detailed cost estimates of the public damages, such as to roads, buildings, or utilities. The damage estimates will be compiled at the state EMA office to determine if certain cost thresholds were met by state and the counties in order to get federal assistance. This is page 1 of the State Public Assistance Preliminary Damage Assessment Form. This includes the municipal contact information and damage cost estimate by public assistance statutory categories. This class will not go into the category definitions. Page 2 of the PA-PDA form collects specific information on each location of public damage. You will need grid coordinates, pictures, contact information, category type, and notes listed on each damaged area. Page 3 of the PA-PDA includes additional space for recording damaged areas. It also includes the instructions for filling out the form. Finally, page 4 of the PA-PDA form is an additional space for notes and descriptions. The Individual Assistance Form, or IA form, will record the level of damage to private property, such as homes, farms, and businesses. This will assist the state and federal governments to decide if assistance will be provided to private citizens. One form will be completed by each home or business and returned to the municipal office or EOC. The municipality will forward the completed IA forms to the county EOC, who will compile all of the IA reports and forward them to the state EOC. Page 1 of the IA-PDA form lists the contact information for the homeowner, the location of the damages, and specific information on the home. Page 2 is a checklist to describe the level of damages to a single-family home. Page 3 is a checklist to describe the level of damages to a multifamily home. Page 4 is a checklist to describe the level of damage to a single-family manufactured home. Both PDA forms, the Public Assistance Form and the Individual Assistance Form, will be collected by the municipal government. The PA form is completed by the municipality. The IA form will be completed by the resident and turned into the municipal office. The municipality will send the completed PA and IA PDA forms to the county EOC. These forms can be uploaded to D4H Incident Management, emailed, faxed, telephoned, radioed, or hand-delivered to the county EOC. The county EMA office will collect all the forms from the municipalities and forward them to the state EMA office. If you have an update to your PA form or receive a later IA report from a resident, you can still forward them on to the county. If the public assistance cost estimates reach a certain cost threshold for the state as a whole, the governor will declare a state of emergency and request a presidential disaster declaration from the federal government. If the federal government accepts the request, FEMA will send out officials to your municipality to verify the level of damages in your community. This is the second stage of the Preliminary Damage Assessment, or PDA process. The county will contact your municipal town office to schedule time for the FEMA and state EMA assessment. You will need a representative who can speak on behalf of the municipality to take the feds and state personnel around to the damaged locations. If cost thresholds are met by both the county and the state, FEMA will suggest the president approve a disaster declaration. When the FEMA and state EMA assessment personnel show up, your municipality will need all of your detailed damage assessment paperwork to include photographs, video clips, material takeoffs, surveys, engineered drawings, detailed cost calculations, receipts, invoices, contracts, check stubs, insurance policies, and any other associated paperwork. FEMA does not need your state PA form. These are only used by the state. When FEMA arrives for the Public Assistance Preliminary Damage Assessment, they will be making their own assessment to verify your costs and calculations. FEMA will determine whether the state and county have met the cost threshold. Then, stay tuned. Even after FEMA leaves, they will continue to reach out to you for answers and for more paperwork on the matter. This process could take weeks or months. Damage assessment is a very important task that needs to be accomplished following a disaster in order to protect the public and quickly return things to normal. It will also be very important if the municipality is hoping to receive state or federal disaster assistance. Though the fire department typically gets tasked with the responsibility by default, the community should consider organizing other volunteers or town staff to meet this need. This concludes the Waldo County EMA Damage Assessment web-based training. If you have any questions on the contents of this training or are looking for further instruction on PDA, PA, or IA, please visit our website, call, or stop by the Swanville office. Thank you very much.